Let's talk about color profiles. I'm Sebastian and welcome to my channel where I talk about tech because I like it. So in today's video I'm going to talk to you about color profiles or picture profiles. I'll show you some comparison footage as I talk about the profiles, what they can do for you and what their limitations are. And by the end of this video you should be able to pick the right color profile for your video. I'll be using the Lumix G9 for this, but most other cameras have similar color profiles. So if you don't have a Lumix G9, this video will still help you to pick the right color profile for your video. Later in the video I will tell you about when to use a particular profile, but first let's get into what profiles there are and what they can and can't do. I will go over all the profiles, but I will put some more emphasis on some that I personally find the most useful and that I would recommend. So let's start off with looking at the options we have. I usually go into the quick menu and pick one from there. So this is what we have on the G9. Standard, Vivid, Natural, Mono, L Mono D, Scenery, Portrait, 4 custom ones, Cinelike D, Cinelike V, HLG, and if you have the paid upgrade on the G9, Vlog L. I've stopped down the aperture so more of my surroundings are in focus, so you can better see what the profiles do to the image. I'm gonna talk a little bit more about Standard, Natural, Cine D and Vlog, but first let's go over the other ones quickly. So this is Vivid, a highly saturated profile with a lot of contrast. I think you have to be 100% sure that you want this look straight out of camera, because there's not much room to play with in post. It also oversaturates skin tones, so it's more suitable for like shooting landscapes, for example. So this is the mono profile, and what I'm going to say next applies to all the mono profiles, and that is that you have to be absolutely sure that you want to shoot in black and white, because you can also easily do that in post. Some of the profiles have more contrast than the others, but yeah, they're all black and white. So this is landscape, a bit more saturated and a little bit more contrast. Therefore you lose a little bit of details in the shadows. It emphasizes the blues and the greens, so it's suitable for, well, what it says in the name, and that's landscapes. So next is portrait. It's very similar to landscape actually, other than that it's a bit less contrasty and it doesn't emphasize the blues and the greens so much. So very suitable for portraits. So then we have the 4 custom profiles. You can choose any profile, adjust it and then save it to one of the custom profiles. Next up is Cinelike V. Cinelike V has been designed to give the most filmic look straight out of camera, and you can't play with it in post really, but it does give a really nice image straight out of camera in my opinion. So this is HLG. HLG is a bit of a special one. It's basically a hybrid, obviously because it's hybrid log gamma, between a standard dynamic range and a log profile with a high dynamic range. I'm not gonna dive into HLG because I think it will fill a whole separate video. You might want to use it when you don't have the paid upgrade for Vlog, but you still want to shoot in a profile with a high dynamic range. Now let's take a closer look at Standard, Natural, Cine D and Vlog. These profiles I use the most and I think you will be most interested in. I've left all the settings at default to make sure that everyone has the same starting point trying this without having to dial in custom settings. So let's take a look at the first one, Standard, which is this. This profile is what it says it is. It's very standard. The colors seem very accurate, and if you want to shoot an accurate image and you don't want to make that happen in post and you want it straight out of camera, then this is a good option. You don't have much room to play with in post because everything's already baked into the image. So next up is Natural. This one is somewhat similar to standard, although it has a little bit less contrast, giving you a bit more room to play with in post. I think it gives a really pleasing image straight out of camera, and skin tones seem very accurate in this profile. So if you want a pleasing image straight out of camera with accurate colors and nice skin tones, this would be a good profile to pick. So the second last one is V-Log L. V-Log L is Panasonic's log profile. The L stands for light, as in it's the light version, although you can use the same LUTs as you can use for the full version of V-Log. Other camera brands have similar log profiles. Sony has S-Log, Canon has C-Log, Fuji has F-Log. So why does Panasonic call it V-Log? Shouldn't it be P-Log? Well, whatever, it's V-Log. This profile gives you the highest dynamic range possible, but it's definitely not a profile that you can use straight out of camera, because as you can see, it looks horribly unsaturated and very flat. So it requires processing in post to turn it into a pleasing image, like this. I also highly recommend that when you shoot in V-Log, you use the V-Log View Assist, meaning that you load a viewing LUT into your camera that lays it over what you're filming in V-Log, giving you a more natural image to look at and to judge exposure and white balance from. That viewing LUT won't be recorded onto the image though, so you will still have the very flat V-Log image on your SD card. One advantage of this profile is, for example, when your white balance is slightly off, you have plenty of room to adjust that in post. I've made a video about how to set white balance and how to use white balance, and you can watch it right here. Another big difference compared to the other profiles is that you can't go lower than 400 ISO. V-Log is really sensitive to noise, so I wouldn't recommend using V-Log in a low light situation. Instead, I would recommend Cinelike D, which I'm going to talk about next. So the last one is Cinelike D, also Cine D. If you want to shoot in a low light situation and you want to avoid noise in your image and therefore you want to keep your ISO low, then Cine D is really the best option and gives you a really nice image. Since the base ISO or the native ISO of the G9 is 200, Cine D gives you a very clear and nice looking image straight out of camera, but at the same time giving you plenty of room to play with in post. This is what I know from my experience. I hope you understand a bit more about these profiles and how they can be useful to you. At the moment, for what I do, I find myself mostly using Cine D and V-Log L. What profiles do you use and why? Let me know in the comments. I hope this video was helpful. If so, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel, and maybe hit that notification bell for the next video, and I hope to see you next time.